The Honourable Dr. Parwinder Kaur.
Thank you. I would like to begin by thanking Honourable Kate Doust for this excellent and very timely motion. Vaccination, as we all know, is one of the greatest public health successes in human history, and yet we are here talking about issues about trust and whether the science is solid, whether it is safe or not, and the decline that we've all seen in the last few years. Some of the figures that when I was doing my research on this, from 2023 to 2024, we've seen a decline of 12.1% in this, as the Honourable Member and all the other contributions highlighted. But it's not just the trust issue in here. I think there is a lot of other structural and psychological barriers that have been there, which we all understand. For example, the Honourable Kate Doust talked about the structural barriers, like the access is one of the issues, but another thing that has come up in the Department of Health research recently and has been published widely as well is the complacency, which the Honourable Steve Martin and Honourable Yon Simba has just pointed out. Because in today's generation, we do have the good fortune. We do not see those diseases, and we do not have that kind of experiences and stories around us. And so there is a bit of a complacency that has come into today's generation. But at the same time, there is also issues like needle anxiety, and I'm talking about that because I do have a needle anxiety. I used to hide, I used to run away, whatever possible, when it used to be the time for going for the vaccination when I was a kid. So my dad used to sit me down and explain it to me why it is important, and that slowly I did build a little bit of resilience, but still, when I saw this flu mist being available for our kids for 2 to 12, I was just like, oh my God, I hope they do give us, the elders, the same opportunity as well, because I still fear the needle and I don't look at it when I go for my vaccinations. And vaccine hesitancy, that has been another barrier that has been reported, which goes along with the vaccine fatigue that has come through after post-COVID era, because there has been so many vaccination regimes, and also, of course, Honourable Kate Doust pointed out that there was a whole disruption in our medical regime during those few years of COVID. But after COVID, we've seen a lot of fatigue and hesitancy that has come into the people, and that requires rebuilding that trust, and also sometimes having those conversations, with your community members, with your kids, and with your family members. It becomes even more important than before. So I thought I'll just share a little bit of data in terms of the vaccine hesitancy that we talked about. There is about 10.7% specialist visits that have been reported, and out 215 appointments were for needle anxiety, so I felt good that I'm not the only one. And then there was about 59 appointments for vaccine hesitancy that have been reported as part of the Western Australian Vaccine Safety Surveillance Annual Report published in 2024. So these things are real, and it's really important to understand what the barriers are, because when we know better, we do better. So the very simple question is how vaccines work and their types. And I find that that when we understand that better, it's easier to build that trust again. And I've had several conversations with a lot of people around in the community on this topic, especially since COVID years. And I had my PhD in host pathogen interaction, so I've had a first-hand experience understanding that how amazing and sophisticated the immune systems are, and not just in humans, but also in other living beings, and how easily they can be trained. And vaccines do a wonderful, wonderful job. They are one of the greatest discoveries that I have at least come across as I have been studying the host pathogen interactions at the very molecular levels. So I thought I'll just share some very, very basic vaccine science today. We have a bit of a theme going on since morning on the science, so I'll continue on that theme. So I really want to share this and use some analogies to explain it to everyone, because it might come in handy when you're talking and having that conversation with one of your community members in the coming days. So vaccines, as we all know, they train the immune system to recognize and fight pathogens, which could be bacteria or viruses, but without causing the disease. So how do they do that? It's basically their mode of action. And there are 6 broad categories of vaccines based on their mode of action in terms of how they work. The very, very first ones are called live attenuated vaccines, which, as their name says, these vaccines use a weakened form of the virus that closely mimics natural infection. We heard the diseases like measles, mumps, chickenpox, oral polio vaccines. These are all live attenuated vaccines. It's like, it's like a controlled fire drill. So a very small contained fire that allows firefighters to practice in real-world conditions without any danger or them being exposed to that danger. So that's exactly how they work. And usually 1 to 2 doses are enough, because this training is very, very realistic and builds a lasting immunity in the system. The second form is inactivated or killed vaccines. As you can tell from the name, it's the virus or the bacteria that have already been killed. So they don't replicate any further, and they don't pose any further danger to your system. This is like training with a burnt out building already. So a fire is completely extinguished, but firefighters still learn the way that how it looks like and how can they respond the best possible way. These are extremely safe, and some of the examples are injected polio vaccine, hepatitis A, injectable influenza vaccine is one of them as well. And they actually last very, very long, but still they require multiple doses and booster shots sometime. The next one, in the couple of minutes I've got left, is the third one is subunit or conjugate vaccines. These are the vaccines like we use for hepatitis V, HPV was mentioned by Honorable Katrina Stratton, pneumococcal or meningococcal vaccines. They're very highly targeted. They're like, they contain only very specific parts of the pathogen, such as proteins or sugars that trigger the immunity system. And they're like, if we stick with the firefighters, they're like photos of the fire ignition source that are shown to the firefighters, which is just enough information to recognize the danger and what to do when they see the whole blaze. Then the fourth one is the toxoid vaccines, and they are the ones which are used for tetanus and diphtheria. And these vaccines, they are mainly used against bacterial toxins and not the bacteria themselves. They're like training firefighters to safely disarm a gas explosion. So they neutralize the most dangerous element before it can actually cause the harm to your body. The next one is one of the most famous ones that we've all come across is the mRNA vaccines, or my favorite science breakthrough that has happened in the recent years. And that's basically they tell the cells to make a harmless protein from the virus itself. So it's really beautifully an example of a personalized medicine in action where one size doesn't fit all. And Pfizer and Moderna were some of the examples. The last one is viral vector vaccines, which are basically the vaccines which use a harmless virus to deliver genetic instructions for a pathogen protein. So this is like secure training vehicle delivering instructions to firefighters without ever bringing the fire itself into the station. And AstraZeneca is one of the examples that we've had. So why I share this with you is because the whole message is to curb that misinformation that is out there, that vaccines are They do not make us sick. They're extremely safe. They train our immune system using different methods so that our system can decisively and rapidly tackle the problem when it occurs. Thank you, President.